I feel most alive when my soul mysteriously mingles with God. When He aligns my human understanding with His divine nature, and I think a little different, I become a little different. Growing up, this notion of intimately communing with God never crossed my mind. I didn't go to church. I had heard of God, but I just assumed He was imaginary, like a wizard or a fairy godmother. And fantasy wasn't really my thing. Actually, I don't know what my thing was. In general, I had a lost, apathetic spirit. Around age 20, I met Wayne, who became my husband. It surprised me that this smart, logical, scientific guy believed in God. In fact, he outright credited God for life and death changes in his life. And because of this, he lived with a devout idealism that I admired. I didn't know how to just make myself have such faith, but I wanted it for myself and for our children. So I decided just to live my life as if I had it. I went to church, read the Bible every day, and talked to God. It was pure self-discipline at first. I prayed with my kids, did daily devotions with them, and taught in their Sunday school classes. As I was dutifully doing these things, God was slowly revealing Himself to me, and an imperceptible transformation was taking place. Gradually, duty became desire, and my faith became real. In 2005, my son Daniel enlisted in the United States Marines, which meant I was drafted into military momhood. I just knew they were going to torture him in boot camp. So I vowed to Daniel that every night at 9 o'clock I would pray for him, and I encouraged him to do the same. It would be our version of Matthew 18:20. For where two or more come together in my name, I am with them. Sort of like a three-way call. This continued when he was deployed to Iraq. In fact, some part of me was praying 24/7. I even slept, clutching a little Bible. On the morning of April 2nd, 2007, I got up early and wrote in my prayer journal. I thanked God for His perfect protection of my son and the assurance that I could trust Him. These words were written with my pen, but I know now they were God's words to me, because in those very moments, Daniel was closing his eyes to the chaos of war and opening them to the glory of God. It was the ultimate protection for the ultimate sacrifice. Receiving the news of Daniel's death several hours later was unquestionably the most stunning, painful, strength-draining moment of my life. But I found myself in the loving arms of the Father, who had also lost His one and only Son. And I knew that He loved Daniel even more than I. I knew that He did not cause Daniel's death. That was a consequence of man's sin. And I knew that God did not just allow Daniel to die, but rather He rescued him from further suffering and brought him home to a place where no eye has seen, no ear has heard, nor mind has conceived what God has prepared. And I will go there too. Maybe Daniel's killer is truly evil and will receive God's eternal judgment. Or maybe he is the tormented victim of intimidation and an evil regime and will receive God's mercy. One day I might meet him in heaven and love him. maybe Daniel already has. The fact that I can live my number one fear of losing a child and not give in to despair, but truly have peace, joy, forgiveness, and hope is proof to me of God's personal transforming grace. Because of Him, I think a little different. I am a little different. And even though Daniel is now stationed in heaven, I still do my 3-way calls.